Get ready to break molds and blaze trails. Welcome to the Chelsey Holm podcast, your shortcuts to wellness, business, and growth with a twist. Let's flip the script and unlock your full potential together. Raise your belief. This is the Chelsey Holm podcast, and it's all about growing. It's all about challenging ourselves, because we know that through the challenge, we get stronger, we get better, right? We get wiser. We just step more fully into ourselves. And I'm trying something different today. I'm actually live streaming this to YouTube because when I post through my host Buzzsprout, it directly posts, but it won't do the video for me. So, and I know a lot of you have said like, oh, I want to see your face. I want to watch you. So because I am back in my studio, aka my desk, I can do video now. I know for summer, like I had to go to audio only because we were just running around too much and it was just taking too many steps of like uploading things and all the whatever in all the places. And, but Buzzsprout made it so much easier because now it just automatically posts for me, but it doesn't do video. So here's your video. So today we're talking about raising your belief. And it's so funny because I plan out my podcast schedule, the different topics that I'm doing, because I upload everything for a VA and, you know, she plugs and plays it all in and has it scheduled out for me. So I have to do that ahead of time, right? Like, you know, those who are on my email list are getting these podcast drops like a week to 2 weeks after they actually drop. And so I'm like always ahead of the curve on that. Anyway, so I had planned this out. I was going to call it Raise Your Belief, and it comes at perfect timing because, wow, are you guys familiar with frequencies? I wasn't. I mean, I'd heard of it every now and then. Like, I've had some people talk about it, but it's one of those things that, like, as a believer, like, we're constantly discerning, like, is this a woo-woo thing? Like, is this something that's like from the enemy? Like, is this of God, right? Like all those things, right? And so like, I always filter things, and I've told you guys about this, that like I filter things through 3 questions. I say, does this align with scripture? Does it conflict with it in any way, right? Does it align with nature, like the natural world? You know, water flows downstream, like those kinds of things, right? Gravity, all that. And then third, like, how does this sit in my gut? Like, is it something that sits well with me? Like, does it make sense, right? Like, is it common sense? And so anyway, so I have been talking to a friend that actually we met at the John Maxwell certification conference. That was in like, I think it was like March or August of 2019. I'm going to say March of 2019. Doesn't matter. Dates are not my forte. You know that. That's my husband's thing. That's not mine. I'm more of a vague, right? Like roundabouts. Anyway, so we met there. And I'll be honest, like it was just waiting to go into the room to sit down. I think one morning, or it was in between sessions or something. I think she was talking to somebody, and then like the group that I was with was talking to them and interacting. So like we met, and we had some conversations, you know, but like, and we became friends on Facebook, right? Like as we do, right? I always say social media is like our modern day business card. Like if you're not connecting with people that you meet right away on social media, like why would you not do that? Like I teach my team that. I've done that myself. Like it just helps because I'm not very good with names. And so it helps me to connect names and faces and to like know where I met who and all the things. Anyway, so we had met, we've talked off and on over the years, you know, kind of cheering each other on. She was in a network marketing company as I was, you know, we were in different companies, but there was always that piece of like, you know, we're cheering each other on because we believe in this industry. And, you know, and then she's stepping more into coaching. I'm stepping more into coaching. And in the last couple of years, she has just totally exploded. Like, and I've loved what she's doing because it's not just her, like in the spotlight of like, I'm the coach and I do all the things. Like it's been like, she brings in other experts. And that's something that I love because like, you know, you guys know the things that I struggle with, self-reliance and like doing all the things myself and like, no, I got it. I'll do it myself kind of thing. Right. And that was really a protection mechanism for me over my life because I know if I'm doing it and I'm in control of it, then, I'll be able to see things faster and be able to react to protect myself faster, right? Like, let's be honest here. Like, that's what it's about, right? That's what control is about, so that we avoid getting hurt. So I loved that she did this, that she would bring in these other coaches in areas that, she wasn't well versed, that her clients could learn from, like, say it's a tax expert, or it's like a Instagram ad expert or something like that, right? And so I've been, I think it must have been last year. It was earlier this year. We got on a call together. It was more or less like it was to catch up, but I also wanted to know what she was doing, because she was sharing about these retreats. And retreats has been something that I have wanted to do as part of my coaching journey for my clients, because I just think there's so much power in community and vulnerability, getting in the room together. And I think women, we don't go on vacation very much. Because that was one of the things in my network marketing business. Like, I never went on vacation. Like, our family vacations was always a road trip to see other family. Like, but it was never really a vacation, right? And so, where's my chapstick? See, you're getting to watch this live. So there we go. My lips get dry when I'm talking. But yeah. And so my network marketing business, like the global conference, that was like the first solo vacation I had been on. And it wasn't even a vacation, right? It's like mom saying that a trip to the grocery store by themselves is a vacation. Like, no. But like that became my thing. Every single year I went, and still continue to this day. I have never missed a global conference, and I never will, because I love it. I think that there's power in being there firsthand, getting to experience new products, getting to learn from the experts, networking with other people, like getting to know other people, like just knowing that like other people are struggling with the same things, and then other people are struggling with things that you already did, and you can help them. And like, it just so good. So if you are in any form of network marketing, direct sales, community marketing, don't care what you want to call it, like you need to make an investment and go to your company conferences. Like, no holds barred, stop, whatever. I don't know how all that saying goes, but like, you have to go. There were times where I would drive cross country to drop off my kids to have childcare with family, and then I would fly back, or like drive back home and then fly out, or I would just fly out from there. And like, sometimes I would fly out of one airport and fly into another airport, like depending, like it just, like, I am telling you, I moved mountains to make this happen, because I have been a stay-at-home mom since we found out, well, I think it was since we found out we were pregnant with Emma. So that was number 3. And that was right when Zach was deploying. It was supposed to be for a year, turned out to be like 9 months, I think. So like the whole time I was pregnant. I know you guys, you've heard that story before. But I've been a stay-at-home mom since then, right? And so it's like, I am the primary child care person. So like, it was up to me to figure it out. And actually, for the John Maxwell conference that I met my friend Lachelle Weemy, if you want to go search her, Dr. Lachelle, that conference was, to get there for that certification event was crazy, you guys. I don't know if I've shared this story with you before, but a few days before this happened, we got the stomach bug in our house. It started with Emma. We were at a birthday party. She ate a lot of watermelon, and then she puked on their dog. And then she tried to run for a bathroom and ended up puking all throughout their house. And so then I had to clean all that up. So that was super embarrassing, right? But I had already lined up childcare where it was like, oh my gosh, like multiple different people, like including Zach. Like Zach had the weekend covered, but like I still had like, I think Thursday and Friday. Sorry, now the wind's blowing and it's making my hair stick to my lip. I still had like Thursday and Friday, I think, to figure it out. And so the person's house that we were at for this birthday party, she was one of the babysitters I had lined up. And I think I had sent like a couple of the older kids to like stay with friends during like that time. I don't know. It was chaotic. So I'm like, oh no. If you know me, I was just talking to Gabe about this yesterday. I was talking about how like we were talking together. We're like, we honestly don't mind any sickness, like colds, whatever, flu, don't care. Stomach bug, please kill me now. Oh, sweet angel of death, take me. Like, I hate it. I hate it so much. It's gotten better now that my kids are older because, well, they know how to take care of themselves and it's not just total chaos and puking wherever you are, right? And some kids are better than others. But anyway, so this was happening. And then it was the night before I was supposed to leave, my stomach started hurting. Like, it was that dull hurt of like you eat and things aren't digesting. And it's just sitting there. And I just remember sitting on the bed. I think I went to bed early because I was like, oh no. Well, and I think maybe Emma had gotten sick a few days before. So we had like the 24 to 48 hour window. So it was going to be fine. No one else had gotten sick at this point. I don't think. I'm pretty sure not. Or maybe Holly did. But like, she was old enough to stay home by herself. Like, no big deal, whatever. I don't even know. Don't come at me. Sorry. If I infected you, I'm sorry. I don't know who infected us, but I remember feeling bad. And then somewhere in the middle of the night, I started throwing up. And I was just like, what the heck am I going to do? And also, I was pregnant at this time, so I wasn't feeling great anyways because it was still in those early weeks, early month, whatever. And I remember having a come to Jesus moment in the shower, like, as you know, if you've ever been like sick, like with the pukey bug, like my hands were on the wall of the shower and I was like hunched over and I was just like, what am I going to do? Like, I paid for this conference, or this certification. Like, I have to go to get my certification. I've worked my butt off completing the online modules to get this done and get ready and be ready to go to this. And I was like, mind over matter. I was like, I'm going to suck it up. But I remember, like, I went back and forth. And, like, I remember Zach was in the bathroom. Like, I don't know if he was getting ready for bed or what. Like, he's like, well, what are you going to do? And I was like, I don't know, because this was, like, the morning. Like, he had got up because he was going to take me to the airport, like, a super early flight. But it was, like, I don't know, it was, like, 3 or 4 in the morning, right? And so it was just he and I up. And he's like, well, what are you going to do? And I was like, okay, this is the thing. Like, I have so much, like, I don't have anxiety about anything except the pukey bug. Like, even sitting here talking about this, like, my stomach's starting to hurt. Like, that's how much of, like, a mindset thing this is for me. But anyways, and he's like, well, are you going to go? Am I going to take you or not? Like, because I think essentially he's like, I want to go back to bed. Like, if I'm not going to take you. And I was like, I'm going to go. I'm going to do it. And I just remember, like, every step, every movement of, like, getting my stuff ready was just like, this is such a challenge. And I just remember, so like we got to the airport, like I think I had like peppermint essential oil, like the bottle up to my nose, sniffing it the whole ride there. Cause I was just like, oh my gosh, like I'm going to die. And we got there immediately. I got out of the car, walked over. We were in California at the time. So the San Jose airport, I remember exactly what I like walked over. There was a trash can. I puked a couple times and then I walked back and I remember the look on Zach's face like, ugh. He's like, you really going to do this? And I was like, yep. With my peppermint oil. And I grabbed my stuff and I don't even think I gave him a hug or a kiss. I was just like, peace out, good luck, may the odds be in both of our favors. And I left and I remember like there was such a long line like to go just to get into like security, right? And I remember like calculating every single trash can where it was just in case. And I must have looked like death warmed over. I mean, because I sure as heck felt like it. And somehow I never puked again. It hadn't been 24 hours. And it wasn't the typical, like, and you know how it is, like it keeps increasing in frequency until eventually there's nothing left, and then eventually you're done, right? And it's usually 24 hours. I never got sick again. But then I wasn't feeling well because pregnant, early stages, no food, and this poor man, I hope to this day, like, I don't know who he was. I remember, because I was supposed to have a middle seat, and so I asked him, I was like, and I didn't lie, but I didn't tell him that I had the pukey bug. But I did tell him, I was like, I'm in the early stages of pregnancy. I'm not feeling well. It'd be great if I could have access to the bathroom quickly. I was like, do you mind switching seats? And he was like, no, not at all. And so I just kind of stayed to myself and like kept I think I had like a sweatshirt on over my head. And I hope he didn't get sick because of me. I like washed my hands really well and like tried not to touch him or breathe on him or anything. And then it was such a long day of travel. And I remember by the time I got there kind of late because of my flight and there were some delays in like getting a ride there or something because this was in Orlando. And, if you've ever been to the World Conference Center in Orlando, it's like in the middle of nowhere. And there's like nothing around it. Like it's just, anyway. And it's also like its own island. Like you can't just like walk off and go places. Like you actually have to get a car to go somewhere. And so I got there. And also, if you've ever been there, the hotel is like a mile from the actual conference rooms. And so it was just like so much walking. And at this point, I hadn't eaten anything, like I don't think all day. So I was really feeling terrible. And I remember sitting in the back of the room, like John Maxwell speaking. And this was like so much conflict in my head because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm listening to John Maxwell speak. I've been reading his books. I've been consuming his material. He is amazing. And I want to eat up every word, but I also feel like death. I remember just standing in the back, like, I think I ended up like sitting down on the floor just to listen because I felt like I was going to pass out. And then I'm in a hotel. Like, I think at this point too, maybe the restaurants were closed. I don't even know. Or maybe I didn't want to spend the money. I have no idea. All I know is I was hungry. I ordered room service. I think I ordered some like chicken wrap. I only ate like half of it because early stages of pregnancy was not sitting well with me either. So it was just a struggle, like the whole process. And so today we're talking about raising your belief today. Sorry if I've gotten so detailed into this story that you're like, what are we talking about again? Raising your belief. But I wanted to tell you that story because anytime that we are working and willing to raise our belief and challenge the way we think and like get uncomfortable, not just in the action taking, but getting uncomfortable with like how we think and like the reason we do the things we do and like the actual story, like the things under the things that are actually the things, like when we're willing to dig around in there and it's not fun. Like I think I've cried like 3 or 4 times today and I'm going to tell you why in a minute. So hold that thought. And you need to know I'm not a crier. Like my husband knows, like the only time I cry is when I've stuffed too much stuff in my rucksack for too long and it needs to explode everywhere. And then I have a sob fest, right? Like, but this is an area I've been working on with intention to process my emotions as they come in and let them go out. But for someone who has like spent a lifetime of stuffing down everything and I'm finding it and I got it, don't worry about it, I'll do it myself. Like it's a challenge. Like it doesn't happen overnight. So I want to encourage you here for a second too, that like, if you're like me and you have faced challenges in your life because you're a human and we've all had challenges and we've all had hurts and we've all had big traumas and little traumas all across the spectrum, this work doesn't happen overnight. Like we may have big ahas, like I'm going to tell you about in a second, but it doesn't happen overnight. Like this is a process. It's a practice. Like we've spent years, even decades of our lives practicing things on a subconscious level, not even aware of it because that's what we've been programmed to do. And so this whole process of growth, which is why you're here listening, because you're someone who wants to grow, you're committed to your growth. This whole process is extremely uncomfortable and it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. It takes intention. It takes discipline. It includes setbacks. Okay. This whole week, I'm not going to like this weekend, and here's where that resistance comes in. Like I felt so heavy. Like there's just a heaviness around me, the end of last week and this weekend and into today. And like old me, like not growing as far as I am, would go into a stress zone, which if you're familiar with Enneagram, for a 3, that's a 6. And it's the do nothing, like completely check out. And sometimes those stress zones for me could last weeks at a time where I would literally do nothing. Like, or I would just do the mindless tasks like folding laundry or washing dishes or cleaning something because I wanted that satisfaction, right? Or I would do something that doesn't necessarily matter in the long run. Like it's not a big thing, but it's something that I can check off my list kind of thing. And so like, that's something that I learned in my growth journey was just what I do in times of stress and especially understanding how my brain works. Like I talked in the last episode about just how our brains are wired to go towards pleasure, right? We want that dopamine hit, and like understanding how our brains work, that's been helpful for me. Okay, so that brings me to today of raising your belief. So this weekend, lots of heaviness. Also, it's a full moon. I don't, sorry, Lord. Like, I don't hate full moons. They're beautiful, but it really challenges me. See, I can't even say the word challenges me, specifically with my children when there's a full moon, because there are tendencies that each of us have during this time of it pulling the crazy out with the gravitational pulls, whatever. And we usually have like big fights. Like, not me, my kids, like they have big fights. And then I have to come in as the mature adult and take a very, let's look at the big picture here. But like, also I don't want to just like suck it up, rub some dirt in it, because that's old me, right? Like that's not new me. And like, it's not gentle parenting. Like, no, it's like scripturally aligned parenting. Okay. With an emotionally healthy mindset, right? Like that's what I'm doing here. And actually for the last time, probably not for the last time, I don't know why I said that, for the first time, I walked away from this whole explosive situation amongst my kids. And I was like, wow, I actually handled that really well. And like, I'm really proud of myself. And I feel like that couldn't have gone better. And like, it was just a moment where I was like, thank you, Lord. Like, wow, man, I'm growing, guys. Gold star. Like, it was just a moment of like, okay, like I can do this, So anyways, so then this weekend we're having this spiritual warfare. So last night, after these big fights and whatever, like, and it wasn't all my kids. Actually, it was only 3. It was only 3, and it wasn't the typical ones. Okay. And so, and I'm not going to name their names because, that's, people are listening to this and it's public, and, I'm not going to do that. But, at bedtime, I always pray with each of the kids, and depending on their level, like they will pray. But like for Bo, he just repeats what I say, and we go through it. And like we've done it so long that he could probably do it on his own. And usually he does, because he will remind me when I forget something, because he'll be like, and help us have good sleep and sweet dreams. Right, Mom? I'm like, right. And I'll say that. And he's like, in Jesus' name, amen. Right? And so we get done praying, and then he sits up like really fast, and he's like, I'm going to have bad dreams. Like I'm scared. Like I don't want you to leave. And I was like, Bo, I can't always be here to protect you, because I'm human. I got to sleep too. Right. Like, and you're going to grow up and you're going to move away, and like, I can't protect you from everything. And I said, but do you know who can? And he said, yeah. And I said, who? And he said, Jesus. And I said, and Jesus is always with you, even when I can't be. Right? Even when I'm sleeping and he's not sleeping. And I said, do you know where Jesus is? And he said, yeah. And I said, where? And he said, in my heart. And I said, do you believe that? And he said, no, I don't, because I can't see him. And I said, well, can you see your heart? And he said, no, I can't see my heart. And I said, well, he's inside your heart. His spirit's inside your heart, and so we talked through it some more, and like, I don't take fear lightly. Like when my kids are feeling afraid, when it's like something that just like, this is one of those things where like, I'm very sensitive to spiritual things going on around us, especially when it comes to my family. And it fires me up. And like, immediately when he said he was afraid, like I turned around, like spun on a dime and was like, tell me more, because not in my house. Like, this is a house of love. Their fear is not here, right? Like we have nothing to fear. We are protected. This is a house of the Lord, right? And so anyways, we talked through it. I prayed for him. I encouraged him. He did go right to sleep.
Oh my gosh, I am so glad you're here. I'm so glad you're listening to this podcast. As you know, I believe that if you're not growing, you're dying. So you are in the right place to continue developing your growth mindset. If you have a business and you're an entrepreneur in any capacity, but especially in the social selling world, online and social media, but you're feeling stuck. You've created some level of success, but you can't seem to get past it. You're frustrated, you're feeling burnt out, you're starting to question yourself. You don't feel like you're fully stepping into who you are and how you want to build your business, then go check out my signature course, the Speed and Stability Playbook, and you're going to get timeless principles that are going to be funneled through your strengths so that you can show up and build your business exactly like you want and not how someone is telling you to, so that you can work on the mindset of becoming the person that already has the things that you're looking to create and being able to do that and generate that through any strategy that aligns with you. Go check that out now in the show notes. Now let's get back to the episode.
But like anytime my kids have nightmares and those kinds of things, because we don't do scary stuff in our house, and we definitely don't do anything that is like dark spiritual stuff. Like no movies, no books. We don't even listen to secular music. Like just because I don't want any of those doors. I don't want any of those doors open my house. And if I find those doors open, I will slam them shut. Shut them down. Like I don't know if you guys have seen the movie The Prayer Room? Is that what it's called? You know what I'm talking about. It's got Priscilla Schreier in it. Anyways, there's this little old black lady, right? And she is just like walking around her house and she is like, Lord, not in my house. And I'm like, that is me. That is me. Like if there was like a cartoon version of myself, that would be it. Like that is how I get in these moments where I'm like, no, not in my house. And I could tell you so many situations where this has happened. But here's the other thing. I woke up in the middle of the night. I felt afraid. Like my heart was racing, and it wasn't because I had a bad dream. Like it wasn't a dream. But I remember laying in my bed and being afraid and looking like just in the dark places of my room. And it was like I was seeing things moving around, and then I was hearing things like up in the attic, like moving around. And I just felt so afraid. And I was like, what the heck? And then I like sat up and I was like, no, like what is going on? And like, I was half asleep. So I didn't really like recognize like what was going on, but there was something like a piece that just came over me where I was like, oh my gosh, like no. And like I roll over and I went to sleep, you know? And then today, so this is what brings me to raising your belief. Also, this is where resistance comes in. So 2 days ago, our AC stopped working. Like it was running, but it wasn't pushing out cold air. First of all, I needed to change the filter, which I did. They were appalled, the workers, when they saw it. Oops. I was appalled too, but I didn't know that you're supposed to change it every month because it's not the kind where you only change it twice a year. Oops. I learned a lot today. But also our unit is 20 plus years old. So, you know, we're going to have to replace it. And like I have the quote here, it's going to cost us at least $7,362. Like, okay, good for when we sell the house because it'll be a new unit. That's good. If we don't do it and we just wait for it to break, like so many things, doesn't matter. Okay. Maybe you've been there. If you've been there, like you totally get this. We're having a tax on our finances. And like, and it just hit me today. Like, wow, yeah, okay, we're being attacked on all fronts. And actually my daughter texted me this morning and she was like, 3 other local schools are on lockdown because they had a threat of someone coming in and not doing good things. And, but not at her school, you know? And so we were talking through it and she was like, Mom, I'm afraid. And I was like, oh man, this is, yeah. I was like, immediately, I was like, the Lord is your shepherd. You shall not fear. He helps you to lay down near still waters. I said, who is in control at all times? Who is protecting you? Who is with you when I can't be? You know, and so I walked her through that. And then I was, you know, and this is my personality, and maybe this is a trauma thing that I need to grow and heal through. But I like to bring humor into tense situations, not when it's inappropriate, but just a little bit to lighten the mood so that, you know, we don't let it stomp us out. I don't know, press us down too far. You know what I mean? So we keep it light. And so I told her, I said, if there were ever to be someone entered your building, classmate or anything, I said, as soon as you can, you text me. And I said, and I want you to picture this. I said, Mom in the 15-passenger white van ripping through cornfields with our full arsenal in the back, and I will slam into that school and take out whoever I need to. Okay, that threat that needs to be ended. I said, I will do it before the cops get there, and you will just. She was like, oh my gosh, that's hysterical. But like, I'm not even joking. Like, I wouldn't think twice about doing that. And I was like, yeah, and I'll go put on all of Dad's, like, you know, full battle rattle and my helmet and everything, and we'll be good to go, you know, and I will blaze in. But like, all jokes aside, like, this is something that we're facing in our country, and I'm not going to get into the politics of it because clearly we have an arsenal, so you could just go ahead there. But I was just like, oh my gosh, like, and so I had this moment of clarity, like, just a couple of hours ago. I was like, whoa. And if you follow me on Instagram, Chelsey_Noel, I shared this in my stories. Like, this is that resistance that's coming at all angles right now. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I need all my kids home. I need my husband home. Like, we all need to come home and like have a prayer circle because like we all need to be safe here. Cause yikes, what else is coming? Right. But I was like, hold on, because this is the resistance that comes when I'm about to go next level. I've seen it in the past. And the enemy does not want that. Because when I go next level, lives are changed. Not just mine and not just my family's, but other people's in big ways. And like, I told you, I've like teared up so many times today, and here I am. I'm like tearing up again. I'm ready. Like, let's go, you know. So the other big piece of this, so I've been talking a lot to Lachelle, and out of the blue, like, I wouldn't say out of the, but like, I didn't know it was something that she offered, but she does these frequency assessments, I guess. I don't even know what it's called. See, this is like, it was totally like, I don't even know what it's called. AO scan technology. It scans your inner voice. And it was really easy. You just like input all your information when you're born, whatever. And then you record like a 10-second clip, which is really hard, by the way. Like, I don't know how to record a 10-second clip. Mine was 12 seconds. That was pretty darn close. And then it goes through and it gives you an assessment of your frequencies. And then it also gives you a like an adjustment frequency. What is it called? So it gives you a full report, and then it gives you a pulse audio file that contains 4 of the frequencies that you need to balance out. Listen to it. Immediately started crying. I sent Lachelle a message, and I was just like, is it normal to have an overwhelming sense of wanting to cry and crying while you're listening to the frequencies? And she's like, yeah, absolutely. So I actually have an appointment with her to go over my results on Monday, and I'm really excited for that because, like, this is one of those things. So this kind of ties me back into how I started this episode of, like, you know, the 3 questions that I ask myself, like, does this align with God's word? Like, does it align with nature? Does it make sense to me? It totally makes sense. Like, when I watch movies or I listen to music, like, I have overwhelming responses all the time. Like, all the time. And it makes so much sense because it's these frequencies, and just listening to the frequencies specific for me in these areas that I need balanced out. You guys, I have to tell you, I had a moment of immediate clarity for why I struggle to make decisions. And I'll share it here. I think my mom would be okay with me sharing this because we've both grown since then. We've talked about things, and obviously we're like close now. But when I was 13, I made the decision to move in with my dad. And my mom disowned me for a year. I think it was a year. I don't know. It was a long time. Maybe it was only a few months, but it felt like forever. And so it makes sense that I struggled to make decisions, because when I made a big decision, the person I loved most shut me out. So yeah, here I am crying again. And that makes so much sense. And like, this is where we need to look back to go forward. Because I've always thought that like a lot of my trauma came from like my parents' divorce and just some challenges there with decisions that were made, and that sense of like never belonging. But sure as shit, like it came from that moment and I didn't realize it. And so I don't know, you guys, I'm probably going to be doing a whole episode about frequencies once I learn all this, because wow, like blew my freaking mind and gave me so much clarity. Like, what? So like, what do you have in your past that is blocking your ability to raise your level of belief today and is limiting how you show up and how you speak and your thinking? Man, like, and I can trust myself to make decisions regardless of what anyone else does or thinks, because God has made me someone who has great gut intuition. Like, I am right 99% of the time when I have a strong gut reaction. Whether the data is there or not, whether the studies are there or not, whether the information is there or not, I have good gut intuition. But yeah, like, whew, like this is heavy. Like, clearly, you guys, if you're watching this now, like, this is a very emotional reaction. And gosh, I have more exploring to do on this, but I also feel so much relief, like being able to communicate better, because now I understand where I'm coming from. And I always thought that like my inability to make a decision was because I didn't want to make the wrong decision, but it wasn't really that. I think it was just in me making decisions, people shut me out. People that I love very much. And so it makes sense. So I just want to like encourage you, first of all, that you're not alone. And it's okay. Like, it's okay. Okay. And doing this kind of work, like this is why I do what I do and why mindset work is so important, because you cannot outwork long-term your limiting beliefs. Now my nose is running, and I think my kids are going to be here soon. I don't even know what time it is, but then you also have to pair that with strategy that works for you and who you are and how God has called you. And this is why I do what I do. Like, man, because it's been so pivotal for me. And now I'm excited to learn as much as I can about this next level and just be able to show up free and trust myself, which sounds strange because I don't want that to ever get confused with like, oh, follow your heart and do what feels good. Like, growth doesn't feel good, guys. You know that. Growth hurts. It's a struggle. It's a challenge. You have to overcome obstacles. You have to get extremely honest with yourself in order to grow. And that's painful, right? Like, that is painful when you have to look in the mirror and be like, wow, yeah, I suck at that, right? But I'm committed and willing to do the hard work in order to overcome that and grow through that, not for my own glory, but for God's glory and the good of others. Like, that is my mission, you guys. Like, God has made that so clear. And like, I got back to writing my book this weekend. Actually, Saturday, I sat down and I just started writing. And what I love about this process of writing a book is that it's helping me to remember so many times and examples of God working in my life whether it was allowing the growth through a poor decision that I made, but he can turn the growth process into good. But also the fact that everything that I'm doing, everything in life that I do is for God's glory, for my growth, and for the good of others. End of story. Like, whatever that looks like, wherever that goes, like, I'm here for it. I'm along for the ride. I still have so much growing to do, but it's a lifelong process and it's a daily practice, right? Like, this is why in the word, there's so many references to your thoughts, to your mind, to what you're focusing on, taking your thoughts captive to Christ. Good gravy, guys, like daily, hourly. Yeah. So there is going to be more to come on this. But when it comes to raising your belief, sometimes you got to look backwards to go forward. And don't be afraid to be open to how God's leading you. I think that's what I want to say here. Yeah, don't be afraid to be open to how God's leading you, and also to tune into it, to see, to connect the dots of like, and Lachelle just said it to me, and this is like her tagline thing, God's perfectly perfect timing. And she reiterated that to me, and I said, thank you so much. Like, I needed this today and right now. And she's like, God's perfectly perfect timing, my friend. And I was like, you know, you're absolutely right. And like, just being open, but also being intentionally looking, not overthinking every last loving thing. Like, is this from God? Is that from God? Should I do this? Not that. This is not that. This is, oh, yesterday, in two different, like in the Old Testament and the New Testament, God pointed out to me busybodies and idleness. And then in a conversation, or no, it was in a book I was reading yesterday during the kids' practice, same two terms, busybody and idleness, were pointed out to me. And it's in those things where you connect the dots and you say, Lord, I'm noticing, what are you teaching me here? And just being open to that. And looking for it, right? Like letting your ears be open, letting your eyes be open, shutting your mouth, right? And letting the Spirit lead you and speak into you by noticing the things you're reading or listening to or watching, or the things people are saying to you or around you. Like, God is using them for His glory, your growth, and the good of others. So how are you going to grow through it? Where do you need to raise your belief? For me, it's raising the belief in myself and in my ability to trust myself because of who God is and what He's done and what He's continuing to do through me, and that He will complete a good work that He started. I am that good work. He's going to complete it, right? Which means we're in the process. We're in the middle. We're not in the end. We're not in the beginning. We're in the middle here, right? The messy middle. And you can sit back in that, and you can trust that. And like, that's where I need to raise my belief, is just in what He is calling me to do and where He is training me, right? He's training me for what's coming. And I don't know what it is, but it's going to be good, guys. Like, I don't know. I mean, I've shared some, but I've invested a lot in my growth in my coaching business this year alone. I've invested a lot of money and time in getting coached, in getting training, so many things, going to conferences. I'm actually going to a conference in October, early October again. And I just know, like, I'm in the training season right now. Like, yeah, I'm investing. Like, am I making a lot of money right now? No. Does my husband want to see me make a lot of money? Do my kids? Like, my kids are praying that mom will be $1 million earner, and all the things that I've been working towards. Like, again, not for my glory, for God's glory, for my growth and the good of others. Because money's just an amplifier, right? And if we have more money, we can impact more people. We can, right? Does that mean we can't impact people when we don't have money? No. But you get what I'm saying. So Like, I'm on this journey. Where does God have you on your journey? And are you going to come along the ride with me, right? Like, you're here. Like, let's go. Like, let's go on this ride. Let's grow together. Let's be committed to it. Let's be people who glorify God by playing bigger, by challenging ourselves, our thinking, our beliefs, what we think is possible, by growing, by serving others, right? Like, not just living for ourselves, for our small little whatever, like, but expanding out and impacting as many people as we possibly can that God will give us, right? Like, are you doing that? How could you do that more? And I'll tell you, it doesn't start with doing, it starts with being. It's the be, do, have, right? We have to be first. You only do that when we know our right positioning with God and us. We're not on his throne. When we try to get on his throne, things go bad and we burn out and things are good, whatever. Like, we still have to work, though. It doesn't mean that we don't have to put legs on that prayer. We absolutely do. We have clarity and belief when we're stepping into that, but we have to do this work first. We have to raise our belief. And the only way you're going to raise your belief is if you're looking at yourself in the mirror and challenging yourself to think differently of what's possible, getting in the room with other people who have done or are doing what you're doing now, and investing in what you can't see yet, trusting that it's going to come, trusting that God is leading you where he wants you, and be a yes girl to God. Don't be a yes girl to everybody else. Be a yes girl to God. If he says go, you say where. If he says do, you say okay. Right? Like, that's why we're here. We're here in this world for his glory, not ours. We're here in this world for our sanctification, which stinks. The only way that happens is through challenge, and we're not usually good at learning the easy way, are we? No. Okay, so I'm going to wrap this podcast up. I hope that you were encouraged by this today, if nothing else. If you found this encouraging, share it with a friend who's also on their growth journey. Share it with someone who, has had some maybe big traumas, little traumas in their past, and they're struggling right now in their belief of what they're doing. It might be time to go back and look so that we can move forward, right? If you know about frequencies, send me a DM and tell me what your experience has been. Because I am so dying to know, because my mind has been blown in just today of it all. Just amazing. Like, I feel like my level of belief is just because I started today kind of low. But it makes sense because resistance all around in all capacities on all levels. And I know why. Because the enemy doesn't want me moving forward. But I say, screw you. Let's go. God said go. We're going, right? Not in my house, not on my watch. Let's go. What's possible? Anything is possible. God is a great orchestrator. He's been orchestrating all the things we can't even see. We can't even understand. This ties into the sermon on Sunday. See, here's another thing that I just thought of. Pastor Errol was talking about God's ways are higher than ours. God's thoughts are higher than ours. We can't understand, but we can trust him. And we can completely fall into his plan and his leading. And we can say yes. We don't have to know all the details. That's what raising our belief is. We don't believe in what we can see. We believe in what we can't see, but that we believe, right? With our whole being. We know that Jesus is coming back. We don't know when. We know what we're supposed to do while we're here, don't we? Yes, we do. So, I will talk to you guys next time. Take care.
Thanks for joining the Chelsey Holm podcast journey. If you've enjoyed challenging the norm and embracing growth with a twist, share the love. Don't forget to subscribe. Until next time, keep defying expectations and keep leaning into who God made you to be.